Numericals confound us. Let's talk about one of the most important definitions, the difference between categorical data and numerical data. Now, if you're in a field like physics or biology or chemistry, you may have heard these terms as qualitative or quantitative, and those are perfectly fine terms, except they both start with the same weird letter, which makes it easy to get them confused. So I typically refer to them as categorical or numerical. Some people believe categorical is when you have letters and numerical is with numbers, but that's not the best way to remember this. Let me give you an example. We're going to ask people, how many times have you seen the movie Twilight? And we get responses, O-N-E, well, that looks like letters. Obviously, it's just a number 1 to 15, 0, 1, 0, 2. Okay, so again, that has numbers, so yes, it does count as numerical. But here's an example of where we have numbers, and this is going to be categorical. These are digits of a phone number. Here's how you can tell, would the average make sense? If I average these numbers, which I totally just did in my head, this 3871.17, does that make sense? Is this like a phone number? Is this an expected phone number? No, not really. This doesn't have any meaning, which is why this question belongs on the categorical side. So don't focus on whether there's letters or numbers. Focus on, does the average not really make sense, or does the average have meaning? That's the difference. And this is a big deal because on the final, students will say, I don't know whether to do a proportions test or a means test. That's all the way back to whether it's categorical or numerical. That's like one of the first videos in the class. So yes, this is important. Let's take another scenario. Did you cry at the end of Twilight? Let's not ask the reason why. I mean, we're not watching The Notebook. This is Twilight, but some people would say no. Some people would say yes. How do we average this? No, yes, no, 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 yes, no. I mean, how do you combine all that? We could talk about proportions. We could talk about counts, what percentage cried or not. But that's not the same as an average. Here, we can't really average these values. And so we're going to list this as categorical. Let's try another example. How many children do you have? Well, 4, that would be like me. I have 4 kids. 2, if we were doing college students, maybe there'd be some 0 to 12. Well, now.
So, is Jake your only child?
No, we have 12.
I couldn't keep her off me.
So the average is 2.27. Keep in mind that you can't have 0.27 of a child. Now, I know us middle children feel like we were the 0.27, but no, unless you've done something illegal, you can't have 0.27 of a child. I guess, could you go home and be like, hey, surprise, we're 27? No, I guess even if you're 27% along, you count that or don't. So 2.27 doesn't have to be a value that could be an answer. It still has meaning. Are you above average? Are you below average? You compare yourself to this. So yes, this is helpful. It counts as numerical. Let's try another example. Social Security. We'll only take the last 5 digits to keep it simple, but here's a list of Social Security numbers, and if I totally average those out in my head, I'm going to get something along the lines of 5877.5 let's see, 6. Okay. Now that I have this average, what do I do with it? Is this a Social Security number that has reason? Am I going to compare these numbers against the average? Not really. This doesn't make any sense. These are categorical labels that use a number, but that number doesn't have meaning on the number line. So this counts as categorical even though number is part of the name. Let's ask people, what superpower would you pick?
You asked me, flight or invisibility. I thought that was stupid, but now I look like this and I need your help.
Well, how are you going to average this? You could tally them. There are things you can do with this data, but an average isn't going to make sense. How about, how long does it take you to do the homework? 1 hour, 30 minutes, hour and a half, 3.5 hours? There are some homeworks later that take that long. Probably not this one. But could we average these? Be careful of the units. These are in minutes and these are in hours. If we convert them, we get 75 minutes, just over an hour. That's useful. You can look at that and compare people are over or under hours, and is this the value you had expected for the homework? Those kind of things are important. So for the first part of this class, we're going to play with averages. What's their probability? What things can we say about it? Later, we'll talk about categorical stuff. We'll be doing proportions for it. And Whether it's proportions or means depends on, does the average have meaning? Is this numerical or is this categorical?